Oh, si es por mí, yo quiero que olvides que somos hermanos.
Bonanza is one of the most beloved giants in television history, capturing the hearts of millions with the tight-knit Cartwright family and life on the Ponderosa. At the center of that bond was Adam Cartwright, played with quiet strength and sophistication by Pernell Roberts. But for all the joy the show brought, watching Roberts' final appearance on the series today is genuinely difficult. Knowing it marks the sudden, permanent end of his time on the ranch leaves a heavy, bittersweet weight on the scene. What exactly happened in that final episode to make it so hard to watch? Join us as we look back at this pivotal moment and uncover the story behind Adam Cartwright's farewell to the Ponderosa. Why Pernell Roberts walked away from college for the Marine Corps. Long before he ever set foot on the Ponderosa, Pernell Roberts was just a boy with a big voice and a dream. Born in the small town of Waycross, Georgia, in 1928, he was the only child of a regular Dr. Pepper salesman and a loving mother. Growing up, Pernell discovered a deep love for music and performing, spending his high school days playing the horn, acting in church plays, and singing for soldiers. He tried his hand at college at Georgia Tech, but the traditional classroom just couldn't hold his attention. Looking for a new path, he joined the United States Marine Corps in 1946, where he spent 2 years playing everything from the tuba to the drums in the military band. Once his service ended, he tried college one more time at the University of Maryland. It was here that he tasted real acting for the first time, starring in classic plays like Othello. This taste of the stage changed everything, prompting him to drop out of school for good to chase a full-time acting career. That risky choice quickly paid off. By 1949, Pernell made his official professional stage debut in Maryland, sharing the spotlight with established theater stars. He then moved on to Philadelphia, sharpening his skills by playing completely different characters, from a dark figure in a thriller to a funny father in Pygmalion. Hungry for bigger opportunities, he packed his bags for New York City in 1952. He started small, singing in minor operas and acting in tiny theaters away from the main drag. But talent like his couldn't be hidden for long, and he soon landed major roles on Broadway itself, sharing the stage with future Hollywood legends like Joanne Woodward. He was so incredibly good that he actually won a prestigious Drama Desk Award in 1955 for playing the troubled King Macbeth. After that big win, he became the ultimate Shakespeare star, bringing famous characters like Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet to life night after night. By the mid-1950s, Pernell was a seasoned theater veteran, returning to his roots in Maryland to star in Much Ado About Nothing. However, the entertainment world was shifting, and a brand new medium called television was taking over the country. Pernell decided to jump into this exciting new world, making his very first TV appearance in 1956 on a popular drama show. Hollywood instantly fell in love with his rugged looks and powerful voice. Before he knew it, he was landing guest spots on all the biggest television shows of the era, including famous westerns like Gunsmoke and Cheyenne. He was building the perfect foundation, completely unaware that these dusty cowboy roles were paving the road straight to his legendary future on Bonanza. How Pernell Roberts became television's favorite 1950s bad guy. With his television career heating up, the movie studios in Hollywood finally came calling. In 1957, Pernell Roberts signed a major movie contract with Columbia Pictures, and just 1 year later, he made his very first big-screen appearance in a movie called Desire Under the Elms. He played a troubled, angry son, and the film was so beautifully shot that it was even nominated for a prestigious Academy Award. That same year, he landed another great movie role in a Western comedy called The Sheepman, acting alongside huge Hollywood stars like Glenn Ford and Shirley MacLaine. Even though he was becoming a movie actor, Pernell never forgot about television, keeping himself incredibly busy with all kinds of guest roles. He showed off his softer side by appearing in children's stories on Shirley Temple's Storybook Theater, bringing classic tales like The Sleeping Beauty and Hiawatha to life. He also returned to his true love, Shakespeare, by performing Much Ado About Nothing on a live television broadcast. But Hollywood quickly realized that Pernell looked absolutely perfect holding a gun and riding a horse, so they kept casting him in westerns. He popped up in popular cowboy shows like Trackdown and Zane Grey Theater, and played a French captain on an adventure series called Northwest Passage. He also loved playing bad guys, like the time he starred as a cruel, killer boss who mistreated his workers in a famous 1958 episode of Have Gun, Will Travel. By 1959, Pernell was everywhere you looked on your television screen. He guest starred on nearly a dozen different hit shows in a single year, including 77 Sunset Strip and Lawman. Yet his biggest breakthrough of 1959 happened on the movie screen in a classic Western film called Ride Lonesome. Even though Pernell was starting to worry about being stuck playing nothing but cowboys, this film gave him one of the best roles of his entire life. He played a charming, likable outlaw named Sam Boone. Audiences loved watching him because you never knew if his character was going to help the hero or fight him. He also shared the screen with another young actor named James Coburn, who was making his very first movie. The two acted perfectly together, creating a ton of excitement and tension on the screen. This incredible performance proved once and for all that Pernell had the star power to lead a major show. Hollywood executives took notice of his rugged charm and undeniable talent, and later that very same year, they offered him the role of a lifetime. They cast him as Adam Cartwright in a brand new show called Bonanza, a decision that would change his life forever and turn him into a household name across the entire world. Why Adam Cartwright refused to ask his TV daddy for permission. When Pernell Roberts landed the role of Adam Cartwright on Bonanza, it seemed like a dream come true. Adam was the oldest brother, the sophisticated, college-educated engineer who brought a sense of calm logic to the wild Ponderosa ranch. But behind the scenes, a quiet storm was brewing. Pernell was a trained theater actor who loved the classics, like Shakespeare. He was used to changing clothes, playing totally different people every few weeks, and challenging his mind. Suddenly, he found himself locked into playing the exact same guy, wearing the exact same outfit, week after week, and it felt like a prison. Despite the show becoming a massive worldwide hit, Pernell grew deeply unhappy. He looked at the scripts and felt the stories were too simple and silly. Even worse, it bothered him immensely that his character, a grown man in his 30s, had to constantly ask his daddy for permission before doing anything. To Pernell, this dynamic felt childish and unrealistic. He didn't hide his frustration either, reportedly calling the show junk and criticizing the network for rushing out cheap television like an assembly line in a factory. He even famously compared his time on the show to a world-class genius violinist being forced to play in a cheesy hometown band. Years down the road, Pernell would claim that people exaggerated his words, saying he never used those exact harsh insults, but he never denied that he was bored out of his mind. He openly told reporters that the show's producers lied to him. They had promised that the characters would grow and change and that the scripts would be deeply meaningful, but that never actually happened. He pleaded for the show to tackle real-world social issues, adult themes, and smarter dialogue, but the network just wanted to stick to the safe, easy formula that made them money. Ultimately, Pernell felt his talent was rotting away on the ranch. He felt trapped by the overbearing father image of Ben Cartwright, leaving him no room to grow as a real artist. So, at the very height of the show's fame and fortune, he made the shocking choice to walk away from it all in 1965, choosing his artistic dignity over a massive paycheck. But the internal battle Pernell fought for his artistic freedom was nothing compared to the quiet, devastating heartbreaks that haunted his personal life. While the public focused on his controversial Hollywood exits, the actor was secretly carrying a profound grief that he kept closely guarded from the world. The heartbreaking double tragedy Pernell Roberts hid from the public. Behind the scenes of his chaotic Hollywood career, Pernell Roberts lived a personal life filled with deep love, terrible heartbreak, and a long search for true happiness. Before he finally found his perfect match, the actor got married 3 different times, but sadly, each one ended in divorce. His very first marriage was back in 1951 to a smart college professor named Vera Mowry. Together, they had a sweet baby boy named Jonathan Christopher, whom they called Chris. Tragically, Chris would be Pernell's only child in his entire life, and Pernell's heart was completely shattered when Chris died in a horrible motorcycle accident in 1989. By then, Pernell and Vera had already split up after 8 years together. Hoping to find happiness again, Pernell married his second wife, Judith, in 1962, but they divorced 9 years later. Then, in 1972, he married his third wife, Kara, and they stayed together for a long 24 years before finally parting ways. But the final, most beautiful chapter of his love life belonged to a woman named Eleanor Criswell. The story of how they first met is actually very unusual. Eleanor and her first husband used to visit Pernell at his house just to sit down and have long, smart conversations about the world. They became very close friends, but then a terrible tragedy struck when Eleanor's husband was killed in a bad car accident. In the middle of all that sadness, Eleanor and Pernell leaned on each other for comfort. Eleanor started helping Pernell host dinner parties at his house, and over time, their close friendship turned into a deep, wonderful love. The two finally got married in 1997. Even though they never had any children together, Eleanor gave Pernell the peaceful, steady life he had been searching for his whole world. She was fiercely loyal to him, staying right by his side for over 10 years. When Pernell sadly got very sick with cancer, Eleanor took care of him until his very last breath in 2010. She held his hand tightly as he passed away, bringing a gentle and quiet peace to a man who had lived such a loud, dramatic life. It is incredibly moving to know that after so many years of searching and surviving such painful losses, Pernell finally found a love that stayed with him until the very end. Does it comfort you to know that he spent his final decade surrounded by that kind of devotion? But long before he found that final peaceful sanctuary, Pernell's life was defined by friction and frustration on the very set that made him a household name. The brutal behind-the-scenes war that fractured the Bonanza cast. When Bonanza first galloped onto television screens in 1959, it became an instant smash hit. Audiences everywhere absolutely fell in love with the Cartwright family and their adventures on the beautiful Ponderosa ranch. Pernell Roberts, who played the smart eldest son Adam, quickly became a massive fan favorite. But behind the scenes, a quiet drama was brewing that would break the famous family apart long before the show ever ended. You see, Pernell came from the serious world of theater, and he took the art of acting very seriously. Before Bonanza, he had already won big awards for acting in intense plays like Macbeth, and his dreams were way bigger than just riding horses on a TV show. So, when the Bonanza script started to feel exactly the same every week, and his character stopped growing, Pernell began to feel trapped. Most regular actors would think having a steady, high-paying job on the #1 show in America was a dream come true, but Pernell saw it as a prison. He shockingly decided to pack his bags and leave the show forever after the 6th season. He later explained that he didn't care about the massive pile of money. He just wanted a chance to prove he was a real actor, even though everyone around him thought he was completely crazy for walking away. It wasn't just boredom that drove him away. He was also fighting a brutal war with the bosses behind the scenes. Pernell constantly argued with the writers and producers about the simple scripts and the lack of deep character development. It got so bad that he would feel angry and upset the very second he showed up for work. He openly admitted that he just didn't have the emotional strength to keep making lazy, artistic compromises day after day because it was wearing him down and making him a bitter person. He also hated how the show handled the family, feeling it was totally unrealistic and silly for 3 grown men in their 30s to constantly act like little children who needed their father's permission for everything. Lorne Greene, the actor who played his loving television father, Ben Cartwright, begged Pernell to stay on the show. Lorne even gave him some great advice, telling him that if he just stuck around a few more years, he would make enough money to build his very own theater and hire the greatest writers in the world to make plays just for him. But Pernell simply couldn't wait any longer. To explain his sudden disappearance, the writers wrote that Adam was away at sea, keeping the door open just in case Pernell ever wanted to return. But he never did. As the years went on, the family just mentioned that Adam was traveling around the world on business. After leaving the ranch, Pernell happily went back to his first love, starring in several big stage plays, including a major role on Broadway. Then, in the late 1970s, lightning struck twice, and he found massive TV success all over again by landing the starring role in the smash hit medical show Trapper John M.D. He finally retired from the acting world in 1997 and lived a quiet life until he sadly passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2010 at the age of 81. He proved to the entire world that staying true to your heart is worth more than all the gold in Hollywood. But while Pernell was fortunate enough to enjoy a long life and a peaceful retirement, the rest of his on-screen family wasn't nearly as lucky. Behind the vibrant, living color of the Ponderosa, a dark cloud hung over the rest of the main cast as a series of sudden and tragic medical disasters cut their lives heartbreakingly short. The tragic medical disasters that cut short the lives of the Bonanza cast. When Bonanza first hit television screens in 1959, it didn't just ride into the Western genre. It completely changed how we watch TV forever. The incredible show galloped through 14 wildly successful seasons on NBC, capturing the hearts of millions with the weekly adventures of the Cartwright family on their massive Ponderosa ranch. Known across the world for its heartwarming storytelling, unforgettable characters, and for being one of the very first shows ever broadcast in beautiful living color, Bonanza was a true trailblazer of its time. It earned endless praise from critics, snatched up multiple prestigious Emmy nominations, and stands today as a golden piece of television history. After wrapping up its historic run in 1973 with over 400 episodes, its legacy still shines brightly. But whatever became of the beloved stars who brought this famous frontier family to life? Lorne Greene played Ben Cartwright, the wise, strong father of the family, who raised 3 very different sons all by himself on the Ponderosa. Before he became America's favorite dad, Lorne was known as the mighty voice of Canada because of his amazing work as a radio broadcaster. He had a booming, deep baritone voice that made everyone stop and listen. Later in life, he even went to outer space, starring as Commander Adama in the classic sci-fi show Battlestar Galactica. In his personal life, Lorne was married twice. His first marriage to Rita Hands lasted from 1938 to 1960, and they were blessed with twins. He later found love again and married Nancy Deal in 1961, and they shared 1 child together. Lorne stayed very busy with acting and helping out his community as he grew older, remaining a deeply admired figure. Sadly, he passed away in 1987 at the age of 72 from pneumonia after having surgery. Dan Blocker won over hearts everywhere as Hoss Cartwright, the lovable, gentle giant middle brother. Hoss was as sweet as he was big, and fans absolutely adored him. Before his big break on television, Dan was a brave veteran who fought in the Korean War. He also played small parts in a few other early Western shows like The Restless Gun. Dan married the love of his life, Dolphia Parker, in 1952. Together, they had 4 beautiful children, including his son, Dirk Blocker, who grew up to become a successful actor just like his dad. Tragically, Dan's life was cut far too short. He died very suddenly in 1972 from a blood clot after a common gallbladder surgery, shocking his fans and his loving castmates. He was only 43 years old when he passed, and his death was so devastating that the writers actually wrote his passing into the show, making it the first time a television series ever acknowledged the death of a main character. Michael Landon played the charming, handsome, and hot-headed Little Joe, the youngest of the Cartwright brothers. After Bonanza ended, Michael became a household name all over again by starring in and producing the smash hit shows Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven. He was an absolute genius when it came to making television that families loved. Michael's love life was quite busy as he walked down the aisle 3 different times. He was first married to Dodie Levy-Fraser, then to Lynn Noe, and finally to Cindy Landon. In total, Michael had 9 children, and some of them loved the business so much they followed their dad right into Hollywood. Even though he was one of the biggest stars on the planet, Michael stayed completely humble and was deeply loved by everyone who worked with him. Sadly, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 1991 and passed away that very same year at the young age of 54. David Canary joined the cast of Bonanza in the later seasons as Candy Canaday, a hard-working, loyal ranch hand who quickly became just like a real brother to the Cartwright boys. But David is also incredibly famous for another huge role. He played the iconic twin characters Adam and Stuart Chandler on the daytime soap opera All My Children, a legendary performance that won him 5 Daytime Emmy Awards. David was happily married to a talented actress named Maureen Maloney, and together they raised 2 children, a son named Christopher and a daughter named Catherine. David loved his craft and continued acting for decades until he finally decided to retire in 2010. He lived a wonderful life and passed away peacefully from natural causes on November 16, 2015, at the age of 77. Tim Matheson played Griff King, a troubled former prisoner who gets a wonderful second chance at life when Ben Cartwright invites him to live and work on the Ponderosa during the show's final season. Even though his time on the ranch was short, Tim used it as a springboard to launch a massive 5-decade career in Hollywood that is still going strong today. He is super famous for playing the funny character Otter in the movie Animal House and the sharp Vice President Hoynes in the hit political show The West Wing. Tim has been married twice and has 3 wonderful children. As of right now, he shows absolutely no signs of slowing down, continuing to act and direct big projects. You can see him starring in popular modern shows like Virgin River and Heart of Dixie, and he has also worked behind the camera, directing hit series like Psych and Burn Notice. Mitch Vogel played Jamie Hunter, a lonely teenage orphan who was lovingly adopted by Ben Cartwright in the very final seasons of the show. Before he joined the Ponderosa family, Mitch was a highly praised child actor, starring in wonderful old movies like Yours, Mine, and Ours, and The Reavers. Even though he was a great actor, Mitch decided that the crazy Hollywood lifestyle wasn't for him, and he chose to step away from acting completely when he was in his 20s. He married his lovely wife, Christine Giles, in the 1980s, and they were blessed with 2 children. Today, Mitch lives a beautiful, quiet life, completely away from the bright lights and cameras of the spotlight. Guy Williams briefly joined the cast as Will Cartwright, a handsome cousin who was brought onto the ranch as a backup plan to replace Adam when Pernell Roberts started talking about leaving. However, his time on the show didn't last very long because fans loudly protested. They only wanted the original trio of Cartwright brothers. Thankfully, Guy is still deeply remembered for other massive roles. He was the iconic, sword-swinging hero in Disney's 1950s series Zorro, and he played the brave Professor John Robinson in the classic sci-fi show Lost in Space. Guy was married to a beautiful woman named Janice Cooper, and they had 2 children together. Later in his life, Guy decided to leave Hollywood behind. He packed his bags and moved to Argentina, where the people absolutely worshipped him. He lived a happy, semi-retired life down there until he sadly passed away in 1989 at the age of 65. The real story behind Adam Cartwright's final Bonanza episode. Even though Pernell Roberts' final appearance on our television screens was in the episode To Own the World, the very last episode he actually stood in front of the cameras to film was a dark story called Dead and Gone. In his official final episode, a greedy, super-rich tycoon who loved to destroy anything in his path vowed to steal the Ponderosa Ranch away from the Cartwrights, no matter how much it cost. When Pernell finally walked away from the show for good at the end of the 6th season, the writers had to quickly figure out how to explain his sudden disappearance. They decided to write him out by simply saying he moved far away, and later episodes told fans that Adam was either traveling out at sea, living in Europe, or working hard on the East Coast to run that side of the family's big business. It usually seems like leaving a massive hit show would be the hardest thing in the world to do, but for Pernell Roberts, leaving Bonanza was actually one of the easiest decisions he ever made in his entire life. Whenever people asked him about the show many years down the road, Pernell always stood tall and insisted that he made the absolute right choice by walking away. He once told a reporter that he couldn't imagine why anyone was still interested in talking about such ancient history. When asked if he wished he had done anything differently, he boldly replied, "Hell no, I don't have any regrets, other than I wish I would have left that show long before I did." Still, Pernell was a smart man, and he knew that leaving the #1 show in America gave him a bad reputation in Hollywood. The big bosses in charge of television used his name as a scary warning to keep other actors in line. Pernell remembered that producers would tell any rebellious actors that if they didn't behave themselves and follow the rules, they would end up in the same sad, jobless condition as Pernell Roberts. But Pernell didn't let those mean threats bother him too much, saying it all happened too long ago to waste time crying about it. He never regretted his big choice, even though he openly admitted that leaving the wealthy ranch led to some very long, lean years where money was incredibly tight. Those lean years were a really tough time in his career where the phone just stopped ringing and he couldn't find steady work for a very long time. That dry spell finally broke when he signed a contract to star in a brand new medical show called Trapper John, MD. Pernell talked about this amazing new opportunity in an interview where he honestly confessed that he hadn't been offered a big role like this in ages. He explained that since the day he left Bonanza, no one had even asked him to join another television series because the offers simply never came his way. By the time he put on his doctor's coat, it had been many years since he had worn his famous black cowboy hat, and Pernell had grown and matured into a much wiser man. Reflecting on his survival, he beautifully explained that a person can absolutely make it through the bad times. He admitted that there had been some very difficult and painful moments in his life, but he believed you just had to hang in there and try your best not to be afraid. He would tell himself that he had been in dark places before, and even though it hurt, he knew he would make it through to the other side, and he always did. By the time he sadly passed away from pancreatic cancer at the age of 81, Pernell had proven that a man's happiness and artistic freedom are worth more than all the fame and money in Hollywood. What Bonanza episode is your favorite till this very day? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.